Welcome to Unmuzzled Chat. Let's embody just that for this very episode, because it is insane. The threats that are looming out there against every one of us. Not one of us is immune to the threats we're going to expose here today. Why dive in on these? Because I freaking care about you. I care about your health, your well-being, your abilities to protect yourself, function, live out the American dream, or whatever paths you want to take in this life, that you have the ability to do so, that you aren't effectively dumbed down, made sickly, and effectively put in a box to where your light is dimmed. We've exposed the dangers. We've exposed that there legitimately is a ruling class. It blows my mind that we have allowed ourselves to be ruled for as long as we have. They just have been very effective, like lulling us into some type of slumber. And it's just been very strategically, tactically, and effectively done throughout generations to get us to the point where we are at now. And there's nothing conspiratorial about it, as they would want to paint that picture. It is healthy to question things, and it's just insane. The more you dive in, the more you source information, where it in fact leads. And once again, it takes no rocket scientist. I'm not one. And nowadays, it's very easy to do, especially in the podcast realm. You can multitask. You can listen to these podcasts as you travel, as you run your errands. For a lot of folks, while you work or at the gym, it's become easier to find this information, digest this information. Frankly, it's never been easier. So as to why some might still want to stay ignorant, I don't get it. We are at war. It is not a choice. It's not a luxury we can afford ourselves to be ignorant and dumb. We've gone over the smoking gun. In my eyes, the pandemic and the ruling class literally trying to murder us all and genocide us. Now, as we go over some information, they're actually going to even expose they couldn't do it to us all at once. That's why there was strategic batches being sent out in certain percentages. I mean, they're just freaking experimenting on us. But here I go, already just ranting a bit. But what I really want to go over is what I feel are some of our greatest threats right here, right now, in our day-to-day. And two of them, I believe, is biological warfare, and then the threat of the EMP, like cyber warfare. Now, obviously, we got spiritual warfare, information warfare, and frequency warfare that all have grave impact as well. But if we allow biological warfare to get out of hand, and I believe with just this flood of information that is getting spread through the world, it really is backing up this cabal into a corner. So something's just telling me that cyber warfare, EMP warfare, is a grave looming threat. So let's just cover that out the gate a bit, because as far as this episode, we're going to be doing this deep dive on this roundtable discussion about the hidden bioweapon. In this episode, they call it the LYME crimes. So it goes into Lyme disease. For some, it may be a little too, let's just say, close to home. for them to consider the injection they got as a bioweapon to even do the research. So let's dive in on Lyme disease and how that effectively is not just a bioweapon, but how biowarfare has been a part of their strategy and plan for a freaking really long time now. But do not fear, regarding biowarfare, and we're going to repeat it, I think, a few different times throughout this episode to help it sink in. The best protection we can do, I believe, is spreading awareness. The more we share this looming threat, the more we diminish evil, essentially, to play out that hand, because we would know better. But also, the more awareness we bring to it, gosh dang it, if this went globally, which our episodes do, just not to everyone, but if this went to hundreds of millions of people, this very episode, it yields the potential of us seizing these bioweapons labs and no more secrecy from our governments or any institutions that essentially are trying to play God and continue this type of war tactic. We would get to the bottom of it together, but we got to create the momentum. So I just hope and pray this strikes a nerve some way, shape, or form within you to help this go viral, to have that impact and be that solution we so desperately need. So let's just say we're effective in doing that. The evil doers that are behind the biowarfare are now being exposed. Personally, I feel they're left with no other option than to do their darndest to disrupt that information getting out. That's where I feel EMP threats and cyber warfare are very much a real legitimate threat. So what can we do in preparations for that? Well, you already know our affiliation with EMP Shield and what they provide. And they provide a surge protection from all the EMP levels or wavelengths for your home, for a solar system, for generators, for, most importantly, in my eyes, your vehicles. So you're not stuck carrying what you can only carry given the EMP goes off, which once again, experts have said it only takes 5 or 6 to knock out the whole US grid. That's it. And that there's a number of countries that have the ability to do that. I'd venture to say that some of these elites themselves have the abilities to do that. I feel, unfortunately, it's very easily done. And you knock out the electric grid, my gosh, anarchy will ensue. So it's important you have guns, ammunition, some stored up water, food. Your cards aren't going to work. So if you're in need of something in that time, something of value, whether it is additional ammunition or firearms or gold, silver, hard assets. So do not mess around. Get yourself an EMP shield, at least for one of your vehicles. I'd say one per family minimum. Come a day of trouble could very well be the singular thing that saves your life. Go in the description, click the link. You get $50 all off every single product. So for a few $100, guys, what are we doing? Get prepared today. So I am thoroughly impressed with this roundtable discussion. And I sure hope you see the value in it as well. I've tried my best to pick out the good parts. However, if you want to see it in its entirety, it seems it's over an hour and a half long. I do recommend everyone check it out. But I know the reality of it is not everyone will or can. So We'll do our best to be thorough. But this is a stellar lineup. You got Michael Jaco, Dr. Northup, Dr. Artis, Dr. Merritt, Kevin Hoyt. These are some frontline experts and have been for some time. For them to group up and have this discussion brings a lot of credibility to this grave threat we faced and have been faced with for a long time, biowarfare. We gotta shut this down, folks. And it starts right here. So I thank you for joining. I thank you for being open and questioning things so we could absorb it, evaluate it. Hopefully it resonates with you in such a way we send this far and freaking wide and we create some darn solutions. We got to get it to that point. Please help us get it to that point. For frick's sakes, I'm fighting this bioweapon Lyme disease, and I'm telling you, no one should deal with this. No one. Golly. God, please give me the words. It's freaking crucial people start taking this more serious. It's not just function and a completely disruption of your life, but lives are at stake, man. It's going to take us teaming up. To those of you that get it, and they're like, all right, James, just move on. Thank you. You are a warrior. You are exactly what we need. And I applaud you for your strength, your courage, and for showing up and doing the things that are going to lead to freaking solutions. That being said, let's dive into this episode.
Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco, and we are going to have an amazing show today, Lyme Crimes Medical Roundtable. So as you can see, we have an incredible lineup of doctors, Dr. Brian Artis, Dr. Lee Merritt, and Dr. Christiane Northrup. All of them have been front line on the COVID lie and exposing that. And now we're going to start to expose even more stuff that's been around for a lot longer and has been more of a problem, the Lyme crimes. Kevin.
Thanks, Mike. And I'll tell you right off the top, I can't even believe I'm on the screen with all of you people. I'm so honored, and thanks for having me and listening. And I'm humbled. Dr. Artis, I think you're the only guy I don't know, and most of you guys all know each other. So me and Michael have been reporting on Lyme disease as a bioweapon for, well, we were a couple years ahead of Tucker, right, Mike? And they're making a big deal out of this. And in the meantime, I've learned a whole bunch more. And I think we're looking literally at the largest bioweapon ever unleashed on humanity. Right. So big shout out to Kevin Isaac. He's our producer in the background pushing buttons. We're going to go through a whole bunch of stuff to lay this out for people. It's a live video. So if you guys have questions, you can put them in great big capital letters in the comments. And at the end of the show, hopefully we're going to have a little time and we'll read a few of those. So you guys all get to listen to me rant as usual for the first half hour. Thanks, Mike, for letting me hijack your show. So we're going to do a quick review with some pictures. We're going to talk about the Nazi bioweapon, Lyme disease, Eric Traub, Plum Island. Then we're going to jump over to the medical community and how they covered it up, how it's misdiagnosed on purpose. And again, the largest thing that it's affecting us today. It's really, really incredible stuff. So Kevin, if you want to start, we're going to I got a couple videos. I got a whole bunch of links and videos, but all you guys are going to have to do your homework this time. I'm not your mother. We're going to paint the picture for you.
I like that.
We're going to show you these links. You're going to have to go back and watch the videos. We got 2 or 3 that we're going to watch, but we're going to cover so much so quick. So you get about a half an hour of me ranting and listening. The doctors are going to listen. Then we're going to open it up to the doctors. Again, it's Kevin Hoyt, MD. That's Mountain Doctor, right? I pull bullets and splinters out of people and everything else. But I'd like to hear from a second opinion, guys that actually have degrees and stuff. So this is what we're talking about. By the end of the video, we're all going to be itching, and hopefully you're freaked out and prompted to act into participation and actually doing something. So Kevin, can we start with our first video? It's Under Our Skin, right?
So Under Our Skin, that documentary, we've covered it before. He has issues playing it with the sound. Great documentary. Recommend everyone sees it.
And even with all the videos, we're going to paint such a picture for everybody. I don't think there's going to be a question in anybody's mind. And whenever you're ready, Kev, we'll try it again.
Guys, unfortunately, I have to be in
audio, buddy. Was the Under Our Skin, and people should, it's on YouTube, right? So you can go look for that video, and it tells really about, again, the medical experiment that we know as Lyme disease now. So, Kevin, I don't know if we can go into the links. We don't need any sound for the links, but let's go right into photos, and we can do a quick review on the bioweapon itself.
1 second.
Kevin's 100% volunteer, by the way. Another grassroots warrior, not getting paid, but doing it for the right reasons. There it is. There's Tucker Carlson. All right, we're starting to finally look at the true origins. This was about a month ago. Like I said, probably 2 years behind me and Michael.
But what a
next
blessing.
slide, please. We're going to really roll through these. So again, the interview, U.S. bioweapon lab suspected the first source of Lyme disease. People are talking about this now. And notice it came out of Geneva. That's kind of important. Go ahead, Kev, next. Plum Island. This is where the whistleblower first came out. Again, Plum Island is right across from Lyme, Connecticut. That was where we weaponized ticks. We made them heat resistant, cold resistant. We invented new species of ticks and gave them all sorts of wonderful diseases. This is the U.S., by the way. Go ahead, Kev.
Our tax dollars.
This is the gentleman who was the mastermind behind it. He used to work for Adolf Hitler. And when he was working for Hitler, he was working on ticks to drop on the USSR, Russia back then, for all you youngsters watching. And it was to make their cattle sterile, is at least the narrative or what they said. But I think it was a whole lot more diabolical. So when we go to the next slide, Kevin, this guy, when we basically absorbed Nazi Germany through Project Paperclip, we'll get there. He was so devious, we gave him his own island. That was Plum Island. And again, this is the awful truth about Lyme. You talk about the doctors, help me out. How do you say this word?
I got to critique. Why are you doing your research on Google, my man? You're making it that much harder on yourself. Get on Brave. Google manipulates. They don't want you to come across this information. Yeah, I'm noticing a big difference from DuckDuckGo, Brave versus Google. And I do comparatives occasionally, and it's very telling.
Spirochete.
There you go. And again, this is why the doctors are on the show with me. Go ahead, next slide. Been around for a long time. Can you blow that up a little bit for us, Kev? And again, this is where we talk about the godfather of Plum Island Laboratory. It was a Nazi bioweapon expert, Eric Traub. That's who we just talked about. He was brought to the United States after the Second World War. It's, again, the secret biological warfare laboratory in the Baltic island called LYME. And then he was given, of course, the job on Plum Island, one of the most highly secretive bioweapons in the world, or bioweapon laboratories. Next slide. And here's Operation Paperclip. For people that don't know about this, me and Mike talk about it all the time. But after the Nuremberg trials, we executed like 6 or 8 Nazis. The rest of them basically became NASA. They became your mainstream media.
Right.
Basically, the Goebbels propaganda machine became your propaganda machine. That's when we were given television and all these things, if you look back at the timeline. So about 1,600 German scientists, engineers, technicians were taken from former Nazi Germany and illegally brought to the United States of America. And that's what makes up our government today. We're the bad guys. Next slide, Kev. And again, this is taken over by the Department of Homeland Security. You guys, we're talking top end here. Biological time bomb with an appalling safety record. One of my sources, we'll get it to the end, knows where the bodies are buried, not just animal, but human bodies on Plum Island, where they did all this research. So the outcome of the outbreak of Lyme disease was West Nile virus in the United States. He offers no smoking gun. The argument is a leaky laboratory study, the world's most dangerous animal diseases. I think that's changed. I think we have a smoking gun right here in this podcast, for one. Hey, Kev, let's go. I'm going to try to go through these quick, guys, and you can go back and please check me. But here's some more.
Guys, I just want to interject. Stay tuned. They go over some pretty profound information, and it is extremely important. We must acknowledge the threat that this poses each one of us, and they become entirely effective with what they want to do. It's over. You will lose your ability to fight back. We will be entirely dependent on whatever solutions they want to provide, which won't be solutions. We got to expose this and stop funding it and not allow it to take place anymore.
Dirt on Plum Island, and for 7 years, Michael Carroll, who's a lawyer for Baltimore, researched Plum Island and Animal Disease Center. We're talking about the Department of Agriculture now. It's all systems go.
Right.
Everybody was involved. And again, presidential levels, Kathy O'Brien, MK Ultra, it all actually comes in and is tied together. Next slide. And this is in Cuba. Once we absorbed Nazi Germany and Eric Traub was working for us, well, we invented a few different species and we dropped about 1 million of them on Cuba during the Castro days. And again, this is bioweapons just like we killed the bison for the American Indians. It's disgusting. But this is our U.S. government. So again, right here, we have 34 different species that were found. Again, all of a sudden, they just appeared like they did here in Vermont and Cuba. And today, more than 80% of the population, their cattle population in Cuba, is sterile. So sterility is another underlying factor. The white-tailed deer that I always talk about to humans. You guys hear that all the time. We're not reproducing fast enough. This is why. Sterility and Lyme. Okay, Kev? Again, where does Lyme disease come from all of a sudden in Cuba? People were starting to ask. And this is a long time ago. If you look, this is 2004, guys. And this is 20 years ago, 2 decades ago. People were asking these questions. And I guess nobody was paying attention. I was half paying attention. Now I'm paying attention. Next slide, Kev. Ticks and tick-borne illness in Cuba, half a century of scientific research. And this is where it really starts, where the doctors and the professionals, the scientists and the people who really know what they're doing started looking at this. These people will get into why in the medical cover-up, but they were silenced, just like the 3 doctors on today's program. They tried to save you. They tried to warn you, and they were destroyed for it, made examples of, so that medical community couldn't talk anymore. Next. There's a beautiful picture of our pesky little friend. And again, we think of Lyme disease related to ticks, but we're going to get into it because it's any insect that drinks blood. So when you think of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the research they're doing with mosquitoes, you think of the Japanese and the what they did with fleas. In fact, a lot of people hear about, the rumors with Bill Gates and fleas as well. Next clip, what a gross looking thing. That's even grosser when it's in you. And I hope that makes you itch because I'm going to itch for the next 2 weeks. But again, ticks carrying all sorts of new brain swelling viruses. We have one disease now, you can't eat red meat without vomiting. And a lot of this.
You don't want to take that serious? Your brain swelling? Your children's brains swelling? Oh, ticks aren't an issue in your area? He just said any biting insect. You got mosquitoes? I hope this has gotten your attention. I hope you're on board wanting remedies and solutions. Hell, even accountability. We can get that accountability together. Do you realize that? You, my friend, have far more control. You are much stronger than you know. You can have far greater impact than you can even imagine. And we team up and we take this head on together. Sky's a freaking limit. I am sick and tired of these arrogant rulers pulling these evil agendas off on all of us, on we the people. They view us less than cattle. They are evil, cruel, and demonic.
So I know Dr. Artist, we talk about venoms and all the wonderful things in vaccines, but Lyme is also in it. And again, I think even COVID is a cover-up. So that's a tick buried in someone's arm. That's how they work. And they're the most extreme bloodsucker in the world. We had a human-sized tick, a 150-pound tick. He would drink about an Olympic swimming pool full of blood. Totally disgusting. Next.
Okay. We're going to jump ahead here. All right. Let's listen to Dr. Brian Artis here for a bit.
And other attempts before, but there was commonly 20% of all people diagnosed with Lyme's never have their symptoms resolved, regardless of the medical interventions. And then they would end up in the alternative doctor's offices like mine. So one of the things I'll just speak to is, yes, they have been engineering weapons of all kinds. They've been making weaponized mosquitoes as far back in World War II. Hitler used those too and released them on cities he was going to go and invade. Wow. So the use of insects is not new. They've been doing this for decades. They know they can weaponize these bugs that inject, suck blood, get access to animals and humans' blood as a way to inject their bioweapons to create all kinds of harm. I will just speak, though, to the Lymes. What I found, very many people successfully found ways of treating Lymes when the antibiotics didn't work. Commonly, you hear about this bacteria called Borrelia as being the underlying cause for all the symptoms. And when you go on antibiotics, often it doesn't clean up for a lot of the people, almost a quarter of everybody. It doesn't clear up their symptoms. What I personally found was not only do ticks inject bacteria, they also inject eggs of parasites. And there are specific parasites called nematodes or roundworms that actually have been found to, in their excrement in your body, shed Borrelia in their feces as they eat on your tissues. So what we found in practice was if we could identify through testing, sample testing typically, if we could identify nematodes were present or any stage of the life of these types of parasites were in the human body, either in a cyst state being excreted, in an egg state, or the actual worms being released in the stools, when we would put them on an anti-parasitic regimen for 3 months, then we would find these individuals relief of symptoms from Lyme's clear up for the majority of them.
It's nice to hear these frontline doctors actually coming up with solutions regarding this biowarfare. It's crucial. But let's stop, dang it, being a dog chasing its tail and get to the root of these issues, which is biowarfare. We got to nip that in the butt so we're not constantly just dealing with these freaking symptoms futuristically.
And that was very humbling, very rewarding. So yes, there is bacteria that often can be handled with antibiotics, if you want to use those traditionally, as conventional medicine would do. And then there are actually anti-parasitic herbs, minerals. It's been suggested for a long time, things like Artemisia, which is sweet wormwood or Chinese wormwood, is an actual suggested cure for various forms of Borrelia bacteria also, which leads to Lyme symptoms. But it doesn't work in everybody. It works in like 75% of them. There are other herbs, though, that actually are anti-parasitic we found very much do work. I always did use Artemisian. I always did use dandelion root extract. I used lots of things to actually throw at these parasites in combination to see if we could disturb the life cycle of the parasites. Do we see less of the bacterium being released in the bodies of these patients? And we found very much a lot of relief for those patients. Now, I won't do it till the end of this roundtable, but in 2020, for the first time in history, there was one plant extract in 2020. They confirmed completely eradicated the Borrelia type responsible, the growing form of this bacteria for all Lyme's disease. So I'll show you what that is, because I've never even heard of this herb, and I'm a nutritionist and have used herbs for 25 years. So it was very exciting to find this. So we'll share that with the group and see if anybody can benefit from it worldwide. That'd be phenomenal, because yes, they're using biological weapons. Yes, they enjoy using insects. And I find it disgusting they're targeting our animals. And if you haven't looked into this yet, Mountain Man Doctor, look at Zoetis, Zoetis. It's a subsidiary of Pfizer. Mark Zuckerberg and his wife, last name Chan, in 2021 started funding research studies on Long Island just to PCR test all the white-tailed deer and then COVID-19 vaccinate them with mRNA vaccines from Pfizer that were branded Zoetis, Zoetis. So go look it up. It's pretty disgusting. They've been targeting animal and wildlife through ticks, and humans, ticks.
That's the zombie deer disease is what they call that.
Yep, they're doing it. So God bless all of us who are trying to make sense of the madness around us and are not creating weaponized bugs we're all going to be exposed to, our animals, our loved ones. It's pretty sadistic in my opinion.
Gosh dang it. He didn't drop that herb that was... Did he? Did he talk about... I'm going to have to play that back. Drop that. If you find out whatever herb he was talking about that was revolutionary, that he had never heard before, that was knocking out the Borrelia or something, we got our homework. Let's find out what that was, because I don't believe he said it. It's like me. I get sidetracked and just in my communication, and doing my best to reel that in and stay more on track.
What are your thoughts on this Lyme disease?
Well, and I don't come by this name, but
now this is Lee Merritt, MD. She touches on some pretty important points and facts and kind of steps back. I like how she assesses things.
By accident, I do tend to go against the grain, so I have to make a couple points here, and that is, I think we have to separate facts from narrative. We shouldn't jump on any one thing as being the answer to everything. That's the only thing. I'm not disagreeing with the points about Lyme disease. Actually, I was stationed one time in Connecticut. It's a submarine base, and they use submarines. And I also had a friend that was on a diesel boat years ago that spread Serratia along the coast of California. He told me how they were doing testing of agents.
Wow.
And the idea was Serratia marcescens it was thought at the time to be benign, and they could use a submarine to just pop up, spray this, and then because it had a color to it, it was like a pink bacteria, they could follow it where it was landing and doing things, and they could make an assessment of airflow and biologic weapons. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that happened. And I think it's not by accident that Lyme broke out and was first diagnosed in Connecticut, which happens to be a big sub-base. Okay, I'm just going to bring, this is the kind of stuff I've been tracing, not only just the disease processes, but what really has been happening. And I think another thing I've been looking at is in trying to figure out, who's actually doing this. The other thing is we can't get too set on any one group, because we're dealing with a, for lack of a better term, it's not just deep state sounds too American. It's a cabal or an organization that's worldwide. It's a global worldwide organization.
Secret societies. It's this club that we're not a part of. It's Davos. And that's the meetings that we are aware of. But as we covered just yesterday, there's like 2 different meetings that even take place there. The ones we know of and the ones we don't.
And they have occult knowledge. They know about the way the world works in better ways than we do. That's what it means to be a cult. They're hiding things. Like your bookie that doesn't really tell you the whole story about the horse being lame, right? Because he might tell his friends, but he doesn't tell you because he wants to make money off you. And my point being is that it isn't just the Nazis that did this. This, if you want to trace bioweapons back, you can go back to ancient times. But specifically, how we got to COVID, if I wanted to pick a date that would get me to COVID, it would start in 1789 with Edward Jenner. Wow. And the reason I picked that is that what we're learning is that science has been put forward by people that aren't who they appear to be.
Right.
They have funny backgrounds that are made up, the stories, it's all being projected by narrative. And when you do that, another word for narrative is propaganda, is that they want you to be looking one place and not looking someplace else. So I would back up and say that LYME is part of this. Okay. I wouldn't say it's the whole thing. I think that what we see as a big picture here from the time of Edward Jenner is they can't get to us through our food and air. If they could, they would have done it. What they have to do somehow at some level is get under our skin.
That is a great point. Because the aerosols in the water, things to that nature, which they have been experimented on for a long time, hasn't proven effective. Hence, why else would they have pushed the pandemic? It wasn't about a virus. It was all created for many reasons, as we could see, in distribution of wealth, things of that nature, but to get a needle in arms. We got to be able to see that and make that connection profoundly.
We are frightfully made beings. We are children of God, and we can heal ourselves if we don't keep getting poisoned. Now, I pick on Edward Jenner, and I want to tell you kind of a little about that if I could, because it plays a role here. He's the guy that theoretically solved the great smallpox virus problem, that smallpox was spreading around the world, and he discovered that cowpox was a lesser form and that milkmaids weren't getting smallpox. And then if we somehow made these crude injections of cowpox pus onto and put them through the skin of humans, that then they wouldn't die of smallpox. That's the story. It turns out absolutely none of that is true.
Right.
Jenner wasn't a doctor. He applied for a medical license without the training and was given it by the government of England. And the point I'm making here is that nobody went back and ever looked at the science, at the actual what happened. He didn't even figure this out. It was 2 farmers that noticed this thing with milkmaids. And here's the big one. Cowpox isn't a disease of cows. Male cows don't get it. Only the cows that are being milked by milkmaids. In other words, the milkmaids' hands had these little pustules and they thought they were coming from the cows. It's the other way around. And the point I'm making here is that in addition to what Brian Ardis, who taught me everything I know about parasites, Dr. Ardis, parasites, there's toxins. In Latin, virus means toxin. And what I see in the world happening here is, yes, they've been working at this bioweaponization for a long time, but they had to get it under our skin. I'd like to see the proof that Lyme disease can be spread by airborne, because they tell you all these viruses can be spread by airborne methods, and none of it seems to be proven. Polio can't be. I can show you the research on that. COVID can't be. They just did this where they put 10,000% of the dose in volunteers' noses in Oxford, England, and none of them got sick. Whatever they think they're putting in there is the slurry of COVID. So I'm just going to say what we're looking at is they've been after our immune system.
Yes.
Even the doctors around the time of Edward Jenner recognized that vaccines were damaging our immune system. And when you damage the immune system, then things within your body come out. And it can be Lyme, it can be parasites, it can be lots of things. But it's all the science is being perverted to make us believe things that aren't true. And we have to kind of back up and say, what have we actually proven? What can we actually demonstrate? Not just assume, not just take from their gossip thing. And I'll leave you with a final little point that's kind of fun. It turns out, when you wonder why papers like our papers couldn't get published, we tried to publish things to stop the vaccine rollout and things. And Dr. Northrup tried to publish her stuff on the shedding problems. They never want to. We always thought it was just about pharmaceutical companies and money and blah, blah, blah. No. all of this medical and scientific publishing that you see at PubMed, those publishing companies are all owned by the intelligence services.
Right.
That's what's going on here. So we have a world that's projected by narrative to make us look away from the truth in science. And that's the big picture. So LYME is part of it. I'm not doubting that. It's just one part of it.
I love it.
Such a good point. We must wake up. What else do we do with our time in our lives? Just bury their head in the sand? What else do we do other than engage and fight back? This is warfare. They are waging war on you, my friends. Each one of you, and me, and our loved ones. Are we seriously going to sit back and just take it? Shots have been fired. You're not even effectively ducking and covering, metaphorically speaking, regarding the biowarfare, yet firing back. How we fire back is spreading this message. How we fire back is talking to all our family and friends. How we duck and cover, educating ourselves, is to, wow, let's do detox cleanses. Let's gain our function. Let's look and balance our nutrition, support our immune systems so these bioweapons aren't as effective. Now we have Dr. Christine Northrup.
The people who thought they had Lyme, and then we'd send the ticks to the lab and they'd never find anything. And it's no wonder it became one of these things that no one wanted to touch it because the people never got well. Brian, you did a great job with the statistics. Some people just, they got the bullseye rash and then they did their doxycycline and they were okay. But this remained like Epstein-Barr, like PMS, like one of those mystery illnesses. And then what we would do is blame the victim, which the standard medical system is really good at.
Do you understand how devastating that is to the people that are suffering from that? You understand that's one of the reasons as to why that folks are suiciding in those positions? That just brings up more importance as to why we should be in the know and well learned and understand these things. Just even to effectively show up on those that are suffering.
We're really good at that. Well, she's just nuts. And some of them are. That is true. So what it comes back to, I think, Lee, and you taught me this, is the psychopaths at the top of all of this. And the average person watching this, and I'd really like to shake you a little, the average person watching this, you need to wake up to how psychopaths work. I just call them the lizards. They are not like you. They don't think like you.
Which many of you are awake, and I applaud you. This isn't directed to you specifically. You're doing amazing, and thank you so much for your support. We're doing it. Folks, things are ramping up. When I took a look, just a side note, on the podcast app hosting site Podbean we use for Unmuzzled, we now are in 40 of the 50 states, and I lost count as to how many countries, close to 30 countries. Like, it's cool to see that map lighting up, that world map, and as to how many people it's reaching. So we're having impact, folks. Let's continue. Let's get it to all 50 states. Let's get it to every freaking country there is. I guess some of these apps, they must have like auto translations or something, right? But once again, I just applaud you because you get it, you see it, and you're showing up and you're doing your part. I'm so grateful for you. It's you. Yeah, I might be putting in some hard work on my end to an extent, but what does that matter without you? You are the one that are going to end up blessing lives by sharing this forward so people can be properly protected. It's you. And I praise you. And I'm so grateful for you. Thank you.
You. Gene Decode said, and I am so grateful, he said, don't pray for them. It just gives them more energy. If you're Christian, you're taught to pray for people because maybe they would escape the fiery pit. We have to understand that there are people walking around who are not empathetic humans. It's so interesting to me that it all comes back to the blood, all comes back to ritual injections of putting things in the body, because as you said, Lee, they can't be us. They do not have the incredible creative ability of human beings, the emotional range, the ability to create symphony, the ability to feel. They don't have it. They've been running the frickin' planet for thousands of years, and their time is up. I wrote this book, Dodging Energy Vampires, so you could recognize them if you were married to one of them. But I didn't realize at the time that they were running the entire planet and also most of the governments. Their time is up. I would like to point out, since I have your attention, Fauci, who makes Mengele look like a choir boy, made sure that all these guys with pneumonia from AIDS didn't have access to Bactrim, the drug Bactrim, which would have helped their pneumonia. No, he made that off limits, just like ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, because he wanted to bring in his AZT, which killed thousands of men with AIDS. And then he went on to what he did with COVID. Now, if you, back then in the 80s, if you questioned the AIDS agenda, you were drummed out of town. I tried to put it in one of my books that people had actually recovered from AIDS. And my editor in New York lost her mind. So it's the same brainwashing of humanity. If we wake up to the fact that evil exists and begin to recognize it, your immune system is going to be boosted. Then you go to Lee or you go to Brian, and we have things that will cure this stuff. We really do. But you can't continue in the standard American diet. You can't continue digesting the news on television. If you're listening to this, you clearly don't do that. But please understand that there is hope. There's always hope. I loved what you said about the plane, Lee, because I came back from Miami and then got really sick because my body needed a detox. And I will say, I learned from Brian, you don't want to detox too quickly. Lee and I both, Brian, we both took nicotine patches a little too much. And holy mother, when the snake venom comes up off your gut, you feel it. It's amazing to me what a detox will do. And we all need regular detox. And we all need to understand who we're dealing with.
Right.
These are extraterrestrial lizards.
I get, folks. I mean, my gosh. Lizard people. Aliens. Once again, they're demonic. This is a spiritual battle. And yeah, I believe that there are mortals that have allowed full possession of their bodies by demonic spirits, especially within these secret societies. They legitimately have spiritual rituals where I believe all of that is being done. And that's how they could view us less than cattle. Because once again, we know what Satan is all about here. It just makes sense.
They are not you. Okay, I just want to get that out there.
Thanks, Doc. This is the first time I was ever on stage. Maine stands up. Remember, Doc? I'm like on stage. I'm looking over.
Oh, yeah.
Like the reptilians. You didn't even hesitate. I was like, man, let's just throw my political aspirations completely out. About the styles. Homework assignment. Google it in the same Chinese. You tell me we ain't got a U.S. chemist that can make fentanyl, or some kid in the basement in Chicago. We're making this stuff right here. This is your own U.S. government, guys.
Right.
And if you want another homework assignment, Google Anthony Fauci and LYME, right? Their vaccine that failed for Lyme disease. Again, this is all, you say, who is it? The cabal? It's that top 2%. It's bloodlines. You're absolutely right. I think Freemasons have a lot to do with this. And we're just starting to learn this stuff now. And again, it's inconceivable. The occult, it's the occult. That's your government. They're human traffickers, they're organ donors, or they're organ harvesters and adrenochrome and all these cannibalism and pedophilia agenda. Patrick Leahy. I can't imagine ever talking about this stuff in public. And now I got 4 of the best minds on the planet, according to me at least. And you're talking about it with me.
You hear, they get it. They've done the research. They realize how satanic, how evil this is. I mean, You can't make this stuff up. And there's evidence to prove this regarding these evildoers, folks. Let's stop being preyed upon. We can rule them out. I mean, it just blows my mind. We look at the smoking gun and the pandemic and how evil they are. They are not stopping there. I can't imagine doing anything else. So I sure hope the other fathers and my brothers and sisters out there see the value as to what we're trying to do here, and at minimum, get the message out. As we've covered, that in and of itself becomes the solution. Does it guarantee? We don't know what other things they have up their sleeves. We truly don't. They clearly don't fight fair. May it lead to more so war tactics, familiar war tactics? Only time will tell. But the only way we're going to minimize that from taking place is by more people getting engaged sooner versus later.
By the way, don't forget Dr. Cadlick, who moved Plum Island. You mentioned Plum Island. It's no longer on the island. They moved Plum Island with all its hoof and mouth disease, which, you know, some of these things really exist. They moved it to the center of Kansas because they want it in the middle of our food producing area. So don't forget him. He's also a veteran.
Great.
Defense Threat Reduction Act, Cadlick.
My source there, he actually, again, he knows where the bodies are buried, both the animal and human bodies on Plum Island. I'm trying to get a GPS location. The same in Waterbury, Vermont. We talked about that MK Ultra program. It was called Project Monarch. Again, reference Kathy O'Brien, the whole bit. Vermont was a hub. It seems like we're a hub for everything. But we had a mental institution that would average between 300 and 400 deaths a year while they were running these experiments on Vermont citizens. And as soon as they stopped, it went back to 2 or 3 deaths. It's all documented. Now we have investigators that want to go literally dig up the bodies. I mean, this is all, I guess, breaking stuff. It was here the whole time. None of this is me. I'm just the guy that kind of threw it together and, you know, put it out here for everybody because I don't see anybody else telling anybody.
But think of your point, Kevin. The deaths stopped when they stopped experimenting. And that's the point. If you believe that these things fall out of the sky and they come by the air, that shouldn't have happened. Okay. Yeah, these things are being given to us. And the first thing the first solution you have to have is to stop being poisoned. And that, and I don't know how many of you guys have people say, well, I didn't take the COVID vaccine, but should I take that shingles vaccine?
Right.
No, ma'am, I don't even want to buy toothpaste from these psychopaths. Don't get involved with this at all. Don't get poisoned.
No, I agree. And I think, again, that one can document the stop just because they closed the hospital down. There's finally enough reports of abuse, just like the Department of Children and Families here in Vermont. They're finally getting enough, human trafficking, stealing kids, whatever. So, it's even hitting mainstream media. I think when I was on my last podcast with Michael, we announced we lost five more Vermont senators last week. It was actually 7, Michael. All the ones we've been calling out for years. Just another coincidence. Something's happening. I'm not a Fed. I'm not arresting anybody. But all these people seem to be disappearing.
Are they?
Which is really
what do you mean by losing them? I mean, where did they go? Are they dead?
Well, nobody knows. We're over 130 in Vermont, including my Secretary of State, my Attorney General. It's been happening for years. I don't know. They resigned, retired, moved, missing. Some of them got arrested, but not for what they're telling you. RICO. Right? Hashtag RICO. We all been racketeered. This is illegal EINs and matching PPPs and like all the other typical greed and corruption. And then you got the whole world genocide, crimes against humanity, human trafficking thing. It's the same people.
Yes,
right?
It is.
At least from my perspective and experience, but I'm just a deer hunter. So we'll see. I don't know, and I can't explain that. It's a pretty common answer for me now. Like everything I thought I knew turned out to be a lie. So
I think number one, we're all universally in agreement that they are lying to us.
Yes.
That's a good one. And who, again, big pharma, big politics, big corporate, it's all the same propaganda media. That's all there's another one. Isn't the beast got 5 heads? Yeah. That's the beast, man. They're all the same entity working together against us. And this is where I said the big red pill it's not just the U.S. You're right, Dr. Merritt, but we're one of the main bad guys. I hate to say that, but I just don't know if it's treasonous, but we're a big part of this. We were the muscle. If you didn't agree or play, we bombed your country and caused war, right?
Notice what Putin says, which I really appreciate, and I think he's right on because he knows what's going on. Russia is at the heart of the take back here, I think. But Putin says, I know it's not the people of the countries doing this; it's their governments, and if forced to, we will take action against the decision makers.
The decision makers.
I think that's what we're all saying. But we have to believe that about the Russians too. By the way, it's not the Russians had the Bolsheviks, the Germans had the Nazis.
Right.
Because I love James Grundvig's comment. He said, the world is being run by a 5,000-year-old Sumerian death cult that masquerades as a political, economic, and military state and projects power through narrative.
There it is.
It is.
I think he's nailed it with that comment.
It's a religious extremist war. It's the Luciferians and Satanists as hard as that. And it's not just South America. And this is, the halls of Congress. And
yes. Wow. Just hit the nail on the head there. Spiritual warfare connected it all the way at the top. It's clear as day. These are doctors. Weren't Americans trained to listen to their doctors? Well, if you're ever just going to listen to doctors, listen to these ones. My gosh. That was just kind of sarcasm to an extent, but the real truth is we have been trained through education and so many things to just blindly entrust in these authoritative figures. Fact.
Of confidence. I mean, it's nuts. It's nuts.
And they're not just screwing up, by the way. They're murdering people. Let's keep that in mind. Like right. Brian has pointed out what was going on in the hospitals, and we heard from Scott Schara.
250,000 a year, right? And maim and cripple millions more. And that's
that's a different level. That was all done. That's that thing that number one that they always say, doctors are the number one. That was run. That was a paper that was published that was just BS. But what they're really doing is what we're seeing in COVID, where they're actually pushing deadly drugs and what you're talking about. I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but it's not just that they're screwing up. I want to make sure we're talking about in the age of COVID, it's become clearly overt that in the hospitals, they are murdering people.
That's right.
And if you don't remember, what did they do to Dr. Kevorkian when he was assisting suiciding patients? I mean, this is what palliative care is, and the hospitals know they can charge billions every year to murder and euthanize your loved one right in front of you, and they're going to convince you that they are reducing the suffering of your loved one as they take their last breath. No, you're not. You're paralyzing their diaphragm's ability to breathe, their heart's ability to contract, using things like fentanyl, morphine, midazolam, lorazepam, and Presidex. All of these are sedative drugs that paralyze your brainstem's control of your breathing. It is no different than taking your dog or cat to the vet and putting them under. They are doing this in front of you and lying to your damn faces what they are doing. All to profit off of your demise. Oh, and by the way, everything they did leading up to that murder in front of you, they are going to be billing still to your loved one's insurance and get paid for all the shit they just failed at doing in the name of healthcare.
I know. I look at our old folks' homes and what they did to our parents and grandparents and veterans and all of our seniors who die alone, looking at their loved ones through glass. And you talk about affect me, break my heart, and all the families that had to go through that too. I mean, that's the ultimate nightmare, is having to die alone, right? Can you imagine? It's horrible.
I mean, there's a huge part of this. I just want to speak to this. I learned this from Dr. Lee Merritt the Great.
Oh, yeah.
That's incredibly sad. Once again, there's no accident to this. It's not, oops, malpractice, or oops, practicing medicine made a mistake. This is intentionally being done, and it's coming down the freaking chain of command. It keeps leading back to the same sources, no matter what path you choose. Whether it's the corruption through politics, whether it's the corruption with entertainment, whether it's the corruption in media, whether it's the corruption in the food and health, same individuals.
From Dr. Lee Merritt. And oh my God, do these people love mutilating physical bodies of humans.
Yeah.
And if you want to know what the greatest, I believe, most disgusting way to mutilate bodies is organ transplant procedures. And anybody out there going, but I need an organ. Oh, do you? Do you really? Why aren't you going and seeing people who are helping you improve your health through diet, through nutrition, through detox? Why aren't you trying that first, besides saying, I need to go cut out of a child, adolescent, baby, or an adult in a prison in China against their will, have their organs cut out that America buys as an organ transplant procedure? This is a billion, maybe $1 trillion industry is mutilating living people, killing them for their beliefs in China. And we buy the organs and sell you that this is a miracle of medicine. Oh my God, the miracle is slapping you in the face. They don't know what the F they're doing to improve the health of you. You've been seeing them for decades. They've just been drugging you with drugs that are poison to your body. This is why your kidneys have shut down. Your liver has shut down. Your bowels have died. They're telling you it's time to take out your heart. You need a pig's heart or some baby or adult in China in a prison. No, you don't. Oh, and if you want to really look into that further, you want to talk about mutilating bodies. Satanic Luciferians love this stuff. They love mutilating bodies. And I'm going to say right here, you ever heard of this BRCA1, BRCA2 gene for breast cancer?
Yeah, sure.
My next door neighbor 22 years old, just had both her boobs removed at 22 years old, told that she had the BRCA2 gene and that she inherited it from her dad. Now, what's interesting is she already went through the procedure, had double mastectomy, no evidence of breast cancer. She was convinced they need to mutilate the body, do reconstructive surgery right now in order to prevent her from ever getting cancer. Dr. Lee Merritt, Dr. Christiana Northrup. You know what, when the parents were telling me this to my face in the front yard a couple months ago, do you know what my very first thought was? And I said it. Who did she inherit this gene from? And the dad goes, me. My very first thought was, did you ever develop cancer? You're in your 70s. No. And he said, no. And I said, why would your daughter, 50 years younger, get her boobs taken off when you have no idea if that gene is going to absolutely be definitive in developing breast cancer? This is a mutilation of bodies attempt. They get off on this crap. They love it. They think you're subhuman, and they love to torture you. I don't know if you knew this, Dr. Lee Merritt, Dr. Christiana Northrup. Do you know a couple of years ago, I decided 2 years ago to look up what organization in our federal health agencies oversees research in organ harvesting and organ transplants. Do you know who it is?
No.
I mean, seriously, go ahead and guess. Guess a department, one department,
Military,
all the agencies.
Military, right?
Defense.
Department of State.
Nope. One department of any health-related agency.
Oh, a health-related agency.
The NIH.
It is the NIAID department.
Wow. That's the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease. Golly, so much corruption. Now, I know we've gotten a little off topic from the LYME crimes and biowarfare, but you can see how the institutions and everything are being ran by the same ones doing the biowarfare. So it's all relevant. It's all important. And I just hope and pray it's ramping up the fire within you to once again becoming the solutions. One last segment here, and then we'll wrap up.
There's been enough research and evaluation done on lots of vaccines and batches of vaccines for decades. Not all batches are the same. So they are experimenting and tracking through digital records. What did we put in this batch? What did we put in this batch? Where did it go? Can we track what that batch and these poisons did to so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so from Philadelphia to China to wherever? And we all know that the lots and batches are manufactured differently, and they would never introduce a 100% killing vaccine to the whole world's population because the gig would be up when everybody died in 1 year, 6 months, 30 days. Everybody would have known the gig was up. They have been hiding this ability to take one batch of 100 vaccines they knew were poisonous and then send one of the 100 to Kentucky, one to Vermont, one to Atlanta, Georgia, one to New Orleans, one to LA. And they can look up that one batch number and then look up your medical records. They're digital and go, what did these individuals who all got that batch, what did they all come diagnosed with in the next 6 months? Oh yeah, look at that. We just created 100 new juvenile diabetics with that polio vaccine and every single one of those people that got it. And none of you would even be able to see this. I will give you an analogy. How many of you have watched the documentaries about the trail left behind by Ted Bundy, the serial rapist and murderer? He actually said out loud how he got away with this was so easily was he could go from city to city to city to city to state to state to state, and none of the precincts ever talked to each other.
Right.
This is why you can separate one batch, send it out to multiple cities, and they're all reporting to their own health departments in their own counties, but none of them are talking to each other. This is how they get away with this crap for decades. They did not poison the whole world with these COVID-19 shots. I mean, notice, of all the people who got all the shots, notice nobody in Congress died.
Not one.
Not once. How did they all get away with getting all the bioweapons and none of them died? Well, I can answer that real easily. They didn't get the damn shots. So that's how you answer that one. It's very simple. It's very easy. How can you have so many people that have miscarried, died, had complications, myocarditis, but no one in the political sphere has this whatsoever? Okay. This is how they do it. It's a great illusion. It's all a theater. You got to listen to George Carlin. He was right.
He was right. He was so right.
He left one.
What a powerful round table discussion. Folks, biowarfare is no joke. This Lyme disease is no joke. Thank goodness we're at a time where doctors are courageous enough to risk their licensing and everything to speak out, or even their lives. There have been a lot taken down due to taking stances like this, but they can't stop the flood at this point. It's like they can't kill all of us. So let's seize this opportunity, this moment in time, Frick biowarfare. I just want you protected. I want you educated. Let's go. Let's do what we can. I freaking hate evil so much and the negative impact it's having on all of us. But I'm not just going to sit here and whine and complain about it. Let's freaking go. Let's do what we can to eradicate all the evil from this world. God commands his followers to pick up the sword and fight. Can't allow evil to prey on our children and our women. What the frick are we doing? Thank you for sending this out and doing your part. There's more we could do. Let's stop funding evil. Quit paying your freaking income tax. You know where to go. Maybe you don't. Go to freedomlawschool.org. Get educated. There is no one that's going to gain more than you yourself in looking into that. Do it selfishly if you have to. But the less we fund the enemies, the box stores, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, the cabal, the rulers that are ruling over us, the better off we're going to freaking be. So Patriot Mobile is one of those calls to action where instead of funding a corrupt, evil mobile provider, you got the only Christian conservative one that not only provides the opportunity for you to potentially save money and increase your service, but get a blanket of security and privacy over your mobile network. If you haven't called them, what is going on? What are you waiting for? Legit. You have a contract? Well, still, they offer buying out. So information's not going to hurt you. Call today. It is worth your time. Use promo code UNMUZZLED and they'll waive all the fees. Click on the link below if you want to go to their webpage and do it that way. We already mentioned EMP Shield. Check the links below. Get your EMP protection today. We'll order it today. The sooner you order it, the sooner you're obviously going to be protected. The install is super easy. Took me like 5 minutes to put on my truck. Up your health. Stop eating that crap. Fast food isn't going to help you. Sodas aren't going to help you. Get as close to the source on original, kind of just the organic stuff that will bring life, nourishment into your bodies. Stop drinking tap water. Get at least an RO system or some type of filtration. Check out Bond Charge. Guaranteed. Everyone has toxicities in their body, whether it metals, molds. Mold spores are everywhere. And they're extremely hard for the body to eradicate. And forever chemicals, things, all sorts of things. Well, you can vamp up our natural body's way of detoxifying with infrared saunas, even more so than your traditional saunas. Bond Charge, you can get over $100 off their infrared sauna blanket through our link below, plus 15% off all their other products. So check them out today. You also can magnify the detoxing effects by including Masterpiece. That miracle tincture is not only addressing a lot of the metals, but the forever chemicals themselves. Check that out in the link below. I've been back on the Centropics cloud mat as of recent. I know I had a lull there. I fought some type of bug, but you know what's crazy? My brother-in-law that doesn't get sick ever was down for days. I believe I got whatever he got because I was hanging out with him when he started going down. Even though I was slowed down, I was struggling. I wasn't bedridden like he was. He never gets bedridden. So it goes to show a lot of the things I'm doing are helping. Even being at a vulnerable place with Lyme disease I'm kicking trash out of me better seemingly than ones that don't have even Lyme disease. So I attribute that to like the infrareds on a blanket, the Masterpiece, also Centropics, the Cloud Mat, definitely doing something. And I'm feeling more and more present. So I know it's doing something. Every time I run the sleep program, I'm out within minutes. I run the Energize program in the morning and it really helps fire me up. And there's other programs in there that I believe are helping me even with my Lyme disease. Be sure to check out those products. You have any questions, just reach out, send a muzzle chat and even an email even. That's a muzzlechat@gmail.com. And we got Christina, an expert that could go over any questions you may have. Folks, it's through the affiliations. It's a double win, at least for us here, because those are the calls to action we need. It's a triple win. It's the calls to action we need. It could personally benefit you. And it's the only way we're going to be able to continue doing what I'm doing right here on a muzzle chat. Unfortunately, we haven't had charitable donors. We've had one. We'll be frank with you. We've had one. And that's already gone into some equipment. So this is, I don't even know what you would call it. This has been a negative income business adventure, even though that isn't the reason we're going behind it. However, it's going to take some type of finances to be able to keep food and the energy, like the bills paid, the electricity running. So if you don't, for whatever reason, feel called, like, you don't need any of these things, like affiliations. I mean, it's crazy. I see people donating to these mega churches that are just pouring money out into, like, my eyes, the craziest things. And money going to the bands and the fog machines and really, really high-end equipment. And individuals involved are making insane salaries. Missions abroad and stuff where that's just not even efficient. When we have issues right here and people that don't know Jesus right here. So why are you just spending all this money? And these churches have no transparency. I know God has put me on this path. And if you feel called to pass this along to someone you even know that's in a good financial situation, or you yourself feel called to help bless a muzzled chat, you know 100% where the proceeds are going. There's a few more upgrades that need to happen here. I personally hate it and feel guilty that you're viewing content through this device to this device, because this laptop unfortunately can't even run the webcam we've got and do the screen share and whatnot. It just crashes. We need some basic funding. Every little bit would help. I'm grateful for these affiliations. I'm grateful for you. I mean, right here, Black Eagle Apparel is the OG from Muzzle Chat. They're the original affiliation / sponsor / partner. And it's crazy. They haven't even trafficked pretty much anything, it seems. Could we blow them up this one time, this singular episode? Go in there. Let's impress Alex. And let's get as many people as we can to invest in an Unmuzzled Chat t-shirt. It's right there on Black Eagle Apparel's webpage. Just click the link below. Embody Unmuzzled Chat. Start advertising on behalf of a Muzzled Chat. I mean, if you send in a picture with you in that shirt, like talking to folks or something, just being out in public, we'll send you something cool. I promise you that. Just out of gratitude. That would fire me up. Okay. We're going to move on. With that, let's just dive into the daily devotional and we'll wrap up. We got June 6th. Seek my face. and you will find fulfillment of your deepest longings. My world is filled with beautiful things. They are meant to be pointers to me, reminders of my abiding presence. The earth still declares my glory to those who have eyes that see and ears that hear. You had a darkened mind before you sought me wholeheartedly. I choose to pour my light into you so that you can be a beacon to others. There is no room for pride in this position. Your part is to reflect my glory. I am the Lord. All glory to God. That's how we effectively unite right there. We got Psalm 105:4 reads, search for the Lord and for his strength. Continually seek him. Great counsel. We got Psalm 19:1 and 2. The heavens proclaim the glory of God. The skies display his craftsmanship. Day after day, they continue to speak. Night after night, they make him known. Let's continue to do just that. Talking about more solutions. Lastly, we got Isaiah 60, verse 2. Darkness, as black as night, covers all the nations of the earth, but the glory of the Lord rises and appears over you. I pray we all have the ability and gain God's discernment to acknowledge his love, but also see the threats while we're here. So we can protect ourselves. We can sound the alarm on them. We can bring people into the light for more protection. And that we can actively, as Christians, pick up the sword and fight against this evil. It's not just impacting men. It's impacting our women and children, and the time is now. Let's seize the day. There is strength in unity and in numbers, and we got that just here. Let's continue to grow that. God bless you all. Till next time, take care.